Right. Welcome everyone to Return on Automation, the show where we show you how to get the best return on your automations. I'm Patrick, the founder of Univium, a business automation development company. And today we're going to do just that, is discuss automation and how it can help your small business. We're going to go over some current events in AI and automation. We're going to take a look at a specific automation process workflow scenario and look at how we're going to automate that. And then we're going to answer some commonly asked questions revolving around process optimization and automation. Um, so just to start it off, some of the current events, we have Arlo, I guess, released some AI enhanced security cameras, which I think is really neat. I used to be in property management, and there was definitely a large need for security cameras. So the fact that AI can now be implemented into those cameras for small businesses at an affordable price is amazing. I don't really know what the AI capability is. I'm not sure if it is like AI facial recognition, or maybe it can kind of just know if there's actually a problem. Because one thing is like currently, before AI, it was just kind of, is there motion? And if there was motion, then you can, uh, you know, kind of look at what happened, right? And there's a lot of motion that occurs. So AI, I think, will kind of help a lot with that. So I think that's a really neat feature. The company Box released its AI powered features called Extract, Automate, and Shield Pro, which is meant to just kind of enhance data security for its users. Something with the uh, coming of AI and whatnot is that data is now much less secure. It's easier to hack. It's easier to crawl and just find your data on the web, and it's just your data is a lot less safe with AI. And so I think that's really neat that they are releasing those features. I wish I could say a bit more about what that is, but that's something to maybe start looking into whenever you're looking at what apps you want and whatnot. Is how is the data security on it? Definitely important. We have YouTube, multi-language audio dubbing feature is an AI-powered uh, feature that allows you to dub your videos with AI in a different language, which allows small businesses to reach just a much larger target audience. That's actually something I'm going to be looking into in the near future. I really think that's amazing. I think that's going to help, connect the world a lot better, and just broaden the scope of what you can learn and from who and all of that good stuff. So definitely a really neat feature, especially if you're into making YouTube videos or watching YouTube videos, right? Then Salesforce released its AI tool for manufacturing operations. Now, personally, I'm not a huge fan of Salesforce, but they're trying to, let's see, what was it? It's a platform that delivers real-time decision and support in predictive maintenance, and that aims to boost efficiency. So real-time decision making, I know that's something definitely I can relate to as Univium has kind of grown and we're starting to develop a team. Is there are a lot more questions as your company grows and scales, and you have to make a lot more decisions. And you're going to have to start making them, a lot faster, especially with AI. And so AI can definitely help improve that decision making process and maybe kind of give you a little bit relief in making decisions that maybe require some discernment or judgment and that sort of thing. So I think that's really neat, and I might actually look into some AI decision making tools for myself or my clients in the near future. So those are kind of all the current events. This is all stuff that was released in the past week or two. And so I just like to go over that to kind of give you an idea of what people are doing, what's happening, and that sort of thing. Next up, we have the automation hot seat, where I go over a automation scenario and I kind of walk through and discuss how I would automate that. And so first up, we have this. And so typically we go over two automation hot seat scenarios, but I found that it can typically take a bit of time to kind of walk through them. And so today I'm only going to do one, and it is automating project kickoffs with Asana, Google Drive, and Slack. And so I'm going to post that in the chat. Let's see. There we go. And let me post the scenario here. When a project is marked 1 in Asana, a Google Drive folder auto-generates with templates. Tasks populate in Asana, and a Slack channel is created with assigned members. Now, personally, I haven't used Asana too much myself. I know a lot of people that do use and like Asana, and I've heard it's a great platform, so I would love the opportunity to work with it. Let me look up Asana API documentation and kind of see what they have. So when a project kicks off with Asana, or a project is marked as 1, a Google Drive folder auto-generates with templates. I don't really know, what does it mean by templates? Like maybe a document scoping out the work for the project? Maybe let's go with that. Let's assume a document scoping out work for the project. And a Slack channel is created with assigned members. Oh, that's pretty neat that it actually create a Slack channel with assigned members. Okay. I'm wondering, let's see if make.com has, I typically like using an agent, but I feel like Asana is such a big platform, make.com probably has a pre-built module. And unless you're, winning projects all the time, I wouldn't be too worried about the cost efficiency of make.com in this instance. Let's see. Make.com Asana module. I guess I'm just going to log in real quick and see if it exists. It's always a bit of a process when you first analyze a workflow scenario of kind of how you want to build it out. There's a lot of different nuances, a million different ways. I could tell you, 20 different ways we could do this, but I think the first step is seeing watch tasks or subtasks, watch webhook events, watch new tasks, and you could always use an API to pull every so often. But I'm thinking you can use make.com, so I would just have make.com uh, watch the projects in Asana. Whenever a project is marked as 1, then we're going to auto-generate templates in Google Drive. So I'm assuming that's a Google Docs. So again, you can use make.com for that as well. I don't always use make.com, but this just seems like a good scenario to use it because it has good Google Drive modules, has good Google Docs modules. I think it has a Google Doc module. Let me look. It does, yeah. Yeah, and so what I would do is when that project is 1, it kicks off this automation, and I'd have AI analyze all the notes from that project, generate the Google document content, then create the Google Doc, and then use a Google Drive module to save it down into a specific folder. And then templates, tasks populate in Asana, and a Slack channel is created with assigned members. If there are any, I would probably want something in Asana that says who's assigned to that project. Uh, that way the automation knows who to add to the Slack channel. And I think there's a pretty good Slack module in make.com as well. There is. These are all big platforms with really robust APIs and a lot of integrations in a lot of different places. And so that just makes it a really good automation for us to do. Let's see. So then it'll create the Slack channel with all the assigned members. Then the last thing is tasks populate in Asana. And again, I haven't used Asana. I imagine you'd be able to let's see, have that happen with Asana without needing automation. But I'm going to do some quick research. If I need, I'm going to see if I need to automate anything. Realize it's not the most entertaining thing to watch me type, but let's see. Let's see what we get. But I'm thinking there's probably some kind of setting in there that says, when a project is marked XYZ, create tasks. I don't know if you have tasks underneath the project. I would imagine so. That's probably what it means is you have to create tasks underneath the project. So we'd have the make.com module then after the AI analyzes it and creates a template for everything that needs to happen for that project, I would have the AI generate a structured data output to then create all the necessary tasks on that project. So yeah, that's definitely possible. It took me sometimes I just have to think it through and eventually it comes to me and I kind of realized, oh, this is what's needed here. So yeah, that's kind of how I would automate that. That one is honestly a relatively simple one and a pretty good workflow too. I like the idea of having AI automatically create the tasks, automatically create the Slack channel and whatnot. And I'd probably send a message in the Slack channel too, saying you've been added for this project, which was one. Please review your tasks in Slack, etc. So I think it's a pretty neat one. I like it. So let's go over. Next up, we have some automation questions, commonly asked automation questions, Zapier versus Make. Which one should I start with? So that's assuming if you're wanting to do automation work yourself, which some of my clients do a little bit of automation work themselves, and then they kind of outsource to us to do a bit more of the complex automations or automations they just don't have time to do. If you are not a developer or haven't been a developer and haven't worked with automation platforms before, I would recommend Zapier. It's a bit more costly. You can't do as much with it, but it's a good place to get started to build out simple automations, and it has a lot of pre-built templates and configurations. So I would say Zapier in that instance. If you do have a development background, some kind of computer science, or even if you're just good with tech in general, I would say if you do a lot of scripting and whatnot, and you're not comfortable with no code tools, I would use make.com because make.com is a good, I guess, transfer over from like complex scripting into no code tools and kind of getting a good feel for it. It restricts you a little bit from doing a lot of stuff you can do with like Google Apps Script or just building a custom web app, but it's definitely a good transition from coding to no code tools. Now, if you're a developer and you're comfortable with no code tools and whatnot, I would recommend N8n, which is a separate platform which I use. That's what I prefer. You can do the most with it. It's a really great tool. I would say N8n is the best kind of no code automation tool out of the three, but definitely Zapier if you haven't worked with it before. How do you know if a process is ready for automation? I like this one because that's a good question. I've had, I guess, early on in my business when I first kind of started it, something I didn't expect is people would come to me asking me to automate something, but they didn't have an existing process. And I'd have to explain to them, no, you have to create the process first, create the manual process. Once you have the manual process, you've done it a couple times, you know that it works or at least is has the capacity or potential to get you the results that you want, then we can automate it. So first off, how do you know a process is ready for automation? Number one, a process exists to begin with. Number two, I would say, is that you can write the process down on paper. If it's structured enough that you can write it out and I can read it and I can understand it based on what you've written out, then that's a good indicator that it's ready. And then also, is it getting the results that you want? If your process isn't getting the results that you want, sometimes you may want to automate it if you're confident that it will start getting the results. But I typically like to say, hey, let's create this manual process. Let's do this manual process uh, you know, manually at first. And then after we've kind of confirmed that, hey, it's getting us the results that we want, now let's automate it so we can, do something else and whatnot. So I would say the process exists. You can write it down clearly on paper, and it's getting the results that you want. And typically, I would say is if you meet like 80% of that criteria, or you're getting 80% of the results that you want, or heck, even 70%, if you're getting close, then you can always adjust the process afterwards. But I'd say your process should be at least 70 to 80%, there, 70 to 80%, a solid process before you automate it. Let's see. And then the last one is how do you keep data clean across automated systems? Well, I would say that one is both hard and not hard. How do you keep your data clean across automated systems? Well, all automation really is moving data from point A to point B. And so if your data isn't clean, then your automations will break. And when your automations break, you're going to tell your developer that the automation is broken. And so, how do I keep my data clean across automated systems? Well, when the automation breaks, my clients inform me, and then I go and I fix the automation, which a lot of times involves fixing the data. And so I would say I'm kind of forced to do that. Now, how do I keep it clean? A lot of times I have to have data governance conversations with my clients, and we'll have to say, okay, what are our data points? What do they mean? The automation is based off logic, off the data. You have to have clean data to have a clean automation. And so a lot of data governance conversations with the clients. We'll even write out a data dictionary and kind of say what each data point is and kind of have agreed upon stuff and whatnot. And so yeah, but I'd say a lot of it is data validation and that sort of thing. So I'd say those are really all of our automation questions for today. I'd say the last thing that I am going to kind of start doing on these shows is talk about just one thing that I learned or that I gained insight on from the week, from either a challenge or whatever it may be that I kind of found insightful. And I'd say this week for me it would be just a realization and also a bit of concern over how impressive Replit and Lovable are, and I'm sure there's other platforms out there, and the types of web apps they can build and the complexity with which they can build them as quickly as they can. I'd say I'm very impressed with Replit and Lovable, and also a bit scared as to what that's going to mean for the kind of SaaS, B2B SaaS industry and whatnot, or SaaS industry in general. And so definitely keep an eye on those two platforms and what they can do. If you haven't heard about it, definitely feel free to leave a comment, ask a question. Um, but yeah, that's what I'd say I kind of learned this week, and I'm still processing, how to approach that. I have some ideas of how that's going to change. I might make a separate video on it, but yeah, I'd say that's kind of what I'm starting to ruminate on a bit this week. But so that really covers everything for this week. Um, and so last thing I'll say is, as always, if there's a process you wish you could automate, the chances are that my automation development company, Univium, can make it happen. So if that's you, head over to univium.com and let us know how we can help. And also, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and stay up to date on all the latest business automation trends. Thank you very much. Take care.